We are at the Capitol with Senator Harry Coates. Senator Coates, thanks as always for stopping by.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's always a pleasure.
You know, I was listening over in the Senate chamber, and the very last happening of the week was kind of, it was kind of odd to me in the sense of, as I listened, I heard somebody who had written a bill standing up to take the bill basically off of the floor. And then I heard you stand up and talk to the young man. I heard Senator Charlie Lassiter stand up and talk to the man. Talk a little bit about the process of what was actually transpiring.
That was an interesting bill. It was a very well-written bill. Senator Jolly brought the bill forward. Total support of law enforcement agencies. Currently, if a trooper stops you or anyone out there, they can pull up on their computer a Word document that tells you a lot about whoever you've had stopped. But it would be so helpful to law enforcement if they could also have a photo to look at and say, all right, is this person that we're dealing with here? Is he using somebody else's information? And who is it? And so this was a what we call a request bill. Okay. by law enforcement to give them another tool in their tool chest to help them identify criminals, identify the people, make sure they're dealing with the people they think they're dealing with and not someone else. Great. And great bill. And what happened was this thing sailed through the committee process with what we call with the title on. It wasn't crippled. And we cripple bills by striking the title, which means it's always going to have to come back to our end of the building, get re-blessed, and before it goes to the governor's desk. Okay. This particular bill had so much work done on it. I mean, it was ready to go. Actually, when it gets to the House, it needs to get an up or down vote, go to the governor, and get it signed into law. What happened was the bill's author succumbed to political pressure to allow the bill to be crippled, to allow further amendments to be put on the bill at some time and loaded up like a Christmas tree, so to speak. And what happens is what we call loving a bill to death. If you have a really good bill, everybody wants to put their language in the bill because maybe their language in another bill didn't get carried. Okay. And so and Senator Lassiter, as you said, he rose in opposition to it. So did I, because I thought, here's what's going to happen. This thing is going to get loaded up with so many things that probably when it comes back to us, it's not going to be in this form. It's not going to really be all that great for law enforcement. Let's get it gone, get it to the governor's desk. So fortunately, three members on my side of the aisle, membership on the Democrat side, voted together in a block to kill the amendment, to cripple it, and we took a vote. Passed unanimously. It's gone to the House. Hopefully they'll pass it and send it to the governor.
And if you come up and you watch a few sessions, so often you see things like this happen, and that's why we have to be involved, because political pressure sometimes transpires because there's not enough public input into the issues. Describe for us, what is the reason or what kind of political pressures cause something like this to happen, for an author of a bill to stand up and say, wait a second, I think that I want to allow other things to be put on this bill?
What happened was, and Senator Jolly is a member of leadership on our side of the aisle and in the majority, and another member, not necessarily of leadership, another member of our caucus, I'm sure, and I think he alluded to this on the floor, that someone came to him and said, look, I want to put language in the bill. Yeah. And wanting to work with everybody and not wanting to have too much pride and ownership of your own language, we tend to try to accommodate as much as we can. But I think truly, if Senator Jolly was speaking candidly to us, he was kind of happy that we killed the amendment, because he has a good bill, he did a good job on it, but just wasn't in a position to say, no, you're not putting your language on my bill at a later date. So that's what happens.
And a nice thing that I liked about what happened with that was both sides of the aisle, and in fact, two of our senators, our local senators, stood up, even though it's a Democrat and a Republican, stood up, worked together, and formed the ability, really, a coalition to be able to make sure that amendment didn't go through.
Yeah, and Senator Johnny Crutchfield from down at Ardmore, he stood in opposition to the amendment also. He said, this is a great bill. We don't want to slow this down. There'll be other opportunities to put your language in something else, or whoever is wanting this language in there. Right. But I think the long and the short of it is, sometimes you have to stand in opposition to your own side of the aisle when you see something happening that's probably not in the best interest.
And how great great it can be with identity theft and the way that if somebody can pick up your wallet or find a loose wallet, you really want law enforcement to be able to identify the people that are behind the wheel.
That's what we've got to have. We have to give law enforcement all the tools they need without compromising our rights, obviously, as citizens. We want to give law enforcement what they need in order to stop and apprehend and the criminal element, and to allow us to, operate in a free and civil society.
That's right. A very serious bill, and there was some fun that took place, though. A bill sailed through on both sides of the aisle. Talk a little bit about Oklahoma's new state song, Senator.
This is one of those things, that happens. We want to sanction the state flower, the state this and that and the other. Well, last year, Senator Schultz from down at Altus said, we need to have the state rock and roll song. And so, in we older guys' minds, we're thinking, okay, Elvis, the Beatles, something or another, so we're going to come up with a really great state rock and roll song. Well, the criteria was it had to be from someone that originated in the state of Oklahoma, which we have a lot of those folks out there.
Oh, yeah.
And, the first person that came to mind for me was Leon Russell from Tulsa, who has written so many songs for many different groups and was one of the pioneers in the music video days back in the early 80s, and a genius when it comes to music. So I thought, man, that'd be a great candidate. Well, what we ended up with an online voting, and I understand there are the folks that are way younger than I am certainly have more time and energy to put into the voting. But the Flaming Lips was their rock band, and one of their songs off of we were talking about a while ago, the Pink Robots album or whatever was the winner of it, and so the people have spoken. Who am I to disagree with them? So,
of course, Wayne Coyne. And do you realize the new Oklahoma state song by legislation?
By legislation, it will forever be in the statutes from here on. That is our state rock and roll song. So.
Again, another great evidence of all of us becoming involved in our government and being able to impact for a positive output. Senator Harry Coates, thank you so much for being with us.
Very good. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.